My first official speech as an ATC member, I would like to dedicate to the most relevant topic nowadays, quarantine. Since I have completed my 2-week quarantine at my work site today, before moving on to the main topic, I would like to tell you about specifics of my job. I work as a lead training and development specialist uh, in Kazminerals company, which is a copper mining field in Pavlodar region. So in this regard, all the company employees have to go through this quarantine before joining their office work. So before 2020, you might have, the word quarantine might have reminded you of pets in cages at border control or tropical disease prevention in history books. However, throughout this year, the word quarantine might have become some kind of a buzzword that doesn't come out of news headlines, radios, and television all over the world. So the current Oxford Dictionary gives the following definition of quarantine. It's a period, state, or place of isolation in which people or animals that have arrived from elsewhere or have been exposed to infectious or contagious disease are placed. So I'm sure you all have a question in your mind about background and short history of quarantine itself. So the word quarantine comes from Italian word quarantena, which means 40 days. It is originated in the Venetian language in the 14th century, and it was used to describe the period when all the ships had to be at isolation before anyone could go ashore during the outbreak of bubonic plague. A similar, more recent example is the 1799 outbreak of yellow fever in Philadelphia in the United States of America. Americans faced quarantine again in New York in 1892 during the outbreak of typhus. During one of the most widespread pandemics before COVID, the pandemic of flu in 1918, many efforts were made towards enforcing quarantine and isolation. So what does quarantine mean in terms of COVID? Quarantine during COVID means separating or restricting movement for anyone who is or might have been exposed to the virus. Being in quarantine means that you can monitor development of symptoms, and if it turns out that you have been exposed to the virus, you don't spread it to others, as you and the virus stay in your home, remain in your home. So there are some safety rules. Unless you live alone, World Health Organization recommends that you should make sure to have a ventilated room for yourself, not to leave your home for non-essential reasons. For example, to go to work if you can work from home. And also, World Health Organization recommends washing your hands frequently with soap and water, at least for 20 seconds, which is the cheapest and the effective way of keeping yourself safe. On conclusion, I would like to tell you about my personal story of gratitude to quarantine. If not quarantine and the extra time that I got thanks to it this summer, I wouldn't be an ATC member now. Since earlier I used to find various excuses to not to join the club. So this example proves the next phrase: there is no rainbow without rain. So this is why I always try to focus on positive sides of any lesson or experience that life gives me. On this note, I would like to wrap up my speech, and I kindly request you to follow all the above mentioned safety rules, wear mask, take care, and stay safe. Thank you for your attention. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.